Welcome to the Halliwell Manor. I'm Max.
And I'm Tina.
And we're here to discuss Season 5, Episode 10 of Charmed.
Tu Mummy Tambien. Okay, so just, like...
Getting ahead of it.
Why? Like, that has nothing to do... They just took any phrase they could think of that had mother in it and replaced that with mummy. It could have been Mummy Dearest.
That's where I was going. Why wasn't it Mummy Dearest?
That would have made more sense than this, which made no sense. None
or
of these made sense.
Mummy Issues.
Boo. But yes, that would have been better.
Is that any different than Mummy Dearest?
No, they're all terrible. You know why they're all terrible?
Because mummy puns are bad?
Well, if you're making a mummy-mommy pun, and in this particular instance, the mummy in question is your love object, no.
Okay, that wasn't the thing I was going to get ahead of, which, yes, we should briefly touch upon the fact that, despite the fact that this is a mummy-themed episode, there's not really a lot of Egypt stuff on display here.
Oh, no, this is like classic Universal monster. This is connected to,
real world stuff.
Yeah, as movies from the 1930s. Less so, even.
I do want to point out, the main plot is whatever, but I did end up genuinely liking this episode a lot. I mean, it's boring when we're actually dealing with, like, blah, blah, blah mummies or whatever, but, like, this is the episode that has the Invincible Piper versus Invincible Cole fight. Come on.
Yeah. You mentioned before we started recording that you loved the Cole in this episode, even though it was radically out of character for him.
Yeah, and not the most sensitive depiction of someone. See, the thing is, like, Cole comedically tries to kill himself multiple times in this episode, but I feel stupid saying, trigger for self-harm because it's, like, the most cartoonish bullshit in the universe. And this is Joss Whedon levels of respecting people with mental illness, which is how they're playing this, even though...
I didn't feel like they were playing Cole off as having a mental illness.
Well, there's lots of jokes about him being crazy now, and it's all very, everyone kind of laughs at Drusilla.
Yeah, but this isn't like Drusilla, he's been driven to madness stereotype stuff that we got in Buffy. This is more like just manic end of his rope stuff.
I don't know. I feel like that is still a driven to madness by... Would you call Angel a love interest for Drusilla? We know they definitely slept together, but...
I mean, yeah. In the messed up whatever of the Whedonverse, yeah, definitely.
But, like, this is definitely... Cole is not right in the head. Like, they call him crazy, which, I mean, he's definitely going through some shit. I don't know. It feels weird to put an ableist, like, a warning for ableism on this, but I feel like we kind of have to because of the,
No, I do see what you're saying.
He is trying to kill himself, but, like...
this just felt more like no fucks left to give Cole to me.
Well, look, he has the giant cartoon guillotine, and
that is a weird thing to play for laughs. Weirdly, it reminds me of the scene from the novel About a Boy. Because in the novel About a Boy, the main character, the boy, his mother attempts suicide at one point in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then later they're watching Groundhog Day. And there's that sequence in Groundhog Day where Bill Murray's trying to kill himself over and over again, and he can't because the day just keeps repeating when he dies, which is the level of suicide attempts here.
Yeah.
And the boy is like, that's really insensitive. Are you okay, Mom? And the mom's like, it's not the same scenario.
Yeah. But, like, discretion is the better part of valor.
Oh, yeah, just so you know, that happens. It's played for laughs, which, honestly, yes, can be more disturbing. But, again, he's an indestructible force of evil.
And it's really cartoonish. But, again, just to be safe. Yeah, I do really love this Cole. I think it probably doesn't speak well to me that I'm like, look at this horribly broken, sad man. This is the best Cole's ever been. People who are familiar with my Twitter are probably aware of my opinions on Ben Reilly for very similar reasons. A lot of people were mad that he was a big sad sack in Across the Universe, and I'm like, no, that's my ideal version of that character.
Across the Spider-Verse.
What did I say?
Across the universe.
Oh, yes, Across the Spider-Verse.
I think I love this Cole because as we're talking about it, I'm realizing the thing I love about him is I love characters who have no fucks left to give.
Yeah.
I just love anyone who's going to bring that energy to the project.
He's the Regina of this show.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Except things don't go so well for him as they do with Regina, who, as those of you who watched Once Upon a Time, although you probably wouldn't have made it through the final season, because I don't think anyone watched the final season, but if you watched Once Upon a Time or listened to our old Once Upon a Time podcast, you would know that Once Upon a Time ends with Regina being crowned Queen of the Universe, and needless to say, that does not happen to Cole.
I think it's interesting that on shows, you and I, if you look at Once Upon a Time and if you look at our other podcast, Welcome to the Uncharted Territories, we tend to gravitate towards powerful, dark-haired, evil people on quests of redemption, right? So, Aaron, Regina, Cole. Like, it fits our thing.
Yes. Although Cole's outfits tend to be a wee bit less cleavagey than Lana Priya's, or
he
even...
does get his shirt off as much as he can.
That is true. He has... I think he's probably the longest running male character to be shirtless a lot. Bryan Krause doesn't go shirtless as often as I would think.
No, I can't even remember the last time I've seen Bryan Krause's chest.
Yeah, like, it's been a while, which is... I don't know, maybe it's just because we're in a post-Riverdale world, but it's weird to think of a CW show where the main dude isn't constantly getting his shirt off.
Well, I mean, let's be clear about what gaze this particular show is being aimed at.
Okay, which is also weird, because Charmed is definitely a show that was intended to be for women, but almost all of the fan service is, directed towards men. I know we've talked about this before, but it's a very bizarre thing.
It was the early 2000s. Fan service for women hadn't been invented yet. We hadn't crested the Momoa horizon yet.
Come on, like, Riley was shirtless all the time in Buffy, which I know...
Riley's like the opposite of fan service.
Yes, everyone hated Riley. When we were doing our last Buffy rewatch, which was a little while ago, I was kind of thrown by how not jacked Riley was. Like, I remembered him being incredibly jacked, and you talked about the Marvel over...
Yeah, the MCU has shifted the window on what you have to be jacked.
Yeah. Because, like, don't get me wrong, the dude who played Riley, Mark Blucas, was in good shape. Like, he was a fit guy.
Yeah, for a human.
Yeah, but I'm like, wow, you can only kind of see his abs, and, his biceps aren't large enough to crush coconuts. It was in that scene in the Baywatch movie where Zac Efron and The Rock are juggling refrigerators, and you're like, this has kind of crossed the line into being more off-putting than...
Yeah, it's like, wait, this guy isn't dangerously dehydrated.
Oh, did you see that clip of Zac Efron from that show where he eats around the world? That was... in the clip, he talks about how much he missed food when he had to be that, like, Hollywood super shredded. And it's a really sweet, kind of sad moment, especially when you think about the fact that, like, they were making him get ripped as early as High School Musical 2.
Well, I mean, I talked about how we hadn't crossed that threshold for fan service for women yet. Fan service for people who are attracted to men. And it is kind of a shame that all that means is that men are having to put up with the same bullshit that women have always had to be putting up with. Like, it would be nice if
I mean, not that
no one had to put up with that.
Yes, but not to say that this never happened before the MCU. I mean, Smallville's been the talk of the town recently on Twitter for some reason. Did they have an anniversary or something? I don't know. Everyone's been talking about Smallville. And that show is basically sold on, look how many abs Tom Welling has, and look at his giant, giant pecs. This character is supposed to be like 15 years old, and he's played by literal underwear model Tom Welling.
They did get him shirtless in that first episode, yeah.
Yeah. He was shirtless. He was strapped to a cross. They painted
fence post.
Yeah.
With the S painted on it, yeah.
With the S painted on his chest. And there's been a lot of sharing of Tom Welling in shirtless and or tied up situations throughout the course of Smallville. So, you know. Also, I feel like that was a lot of Supernatural.
God, I hope this doesn't alienate our listeners, because they know how beloved it is, but I could not get through Supernatural.
Yeah, I watched the first 3 seasons and I liked them well enough, and then I kind of dropped off when the Angel stuff started, which I know is when people say you're supposed to start watching the show, but...
I got through the first 3 episodes.
Well, I think you hit, like, the 3rd episode's, like, the worst one. It's the one with the racist truck. But... Or the one where, like, it's Amy Acker and a water demon or something. I don't know. Anyway, like, I had a friend who was really into it in college, and I got into it too, and then I kind of fell off a lot faster than my friend.
Hey, if someone wants to tell me how to watch Supernatural, feel free to do that. If you want to tell me, like, hey, start at this episode several seasons in, or, hey, just skip around and watch these episodes to get yourself going. Like, if someone wants to do that, feel free to do so, because I feel like I'm missing something with Supernatural.
Speaking of starting, let's actually start the episode. We've been talking for 11 million years. We should...
Speaking of our being drawn towards the evil dark-haired women, we start with a blonde woman who is both evil and fated to die, as blonde women in this show often are.
Yeah, we got a 2 for right off the bat. And the fun thing is, she is both victim and villain, because the real Isis is...
possessing her.
I'm sorry, it's weird because she's Isis, but she's not supposed to be the goddess, so it's kind of like Hecate in The Wedding from Hell. Although I guess there probably were just people named Isis back then, like that probably wasn't a weird thing.
Yeah.
But it's less weird that this Egyptian demon, sorceress, evil witch, what have you, it's not weird that she's in a blonde lady, because she is explicitly a body hopper. The body is burning out, so person both innocent and evil. The body's burning out, so her demon boyfriend, husband...
Her demon boyfriend lover has to find a new body for her to hop into. Now, I'm just going to get this out of the way first. The body has to reside within a witch. Only a witch can hold the power of Isis. But we are later told that the more powerful the witch is, the faster she burns out.
Okay, see, the thing about this episode is there's a lot of really fun stuff in it. The main plot is deeply, deeply stupid. Like, why would it work that way?
It makes no sense. Also, like, how many witches are dead? Because she burns out Paige in, like, less than a day.
I think he has to keep her in stasis longer. He mummifies the body as it's dying so that Isis doesn't die. It's this spell thing. It holds you at the moment that you've been mummified. So, you know, she's technically dead, but, you know.
She's only mostly dead.
Yeah, and he sand teleports out.
Because it's Egyptian.
Yeah, because it's Egyptian. This is actually our second bite at the Egypt apple. I forgot we had that whole, like, Guardian of the Urn thing.
Oh, yeah, we did have that.
But since this is a sand teleport, he leaves a bunch of sand.
I kind of love this. So, the police burst in, right?
Hey, it's Daryl. We haven't seen Daryl in a while.
Yeah. So, the police burst in, and they see a mummified corpse on the couch, and Daryl sees a pile of sand in front of it, and just the look on his face. He is pre-exhausted at having to deal with magical bullshit again.
Okay, I just want to touch on this briefly because it kind of bothered me throughout the episode. What's up with, like...
His hair?
His hair, like, it's really...
It's an awkward length.
Well, it's kind of patchy, too. Like, it's at inconsistent lengths, and so is his beard. His beard is also really patchy. I was like...
It feels like he's growing something out.
Yeah, and he's kind of at, like, an awkward in-between phase, because Dorton Gregory is a very, very attractive man, and
Two berries.
Yeah.
I would give him, like, one berry, but okay.
Wow, harsh opinions.
I would only give him one very attractive and not two very attractives.
Yeah, we're living in the modern age where if it's less than 9 out of 10 is an insult now. But no, he's a very, very attractive man. But like,
maybe he thought he was gonna go for a new look when he went over to Baywatch Nights, and he was trying to grow he was trying to thing. I don't know if the timeline matches up with that. I don't know when Baywatch Nights was being recorded.
Like a decade before this.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, I'm exaggerating a little, but like that show is very not on the air at this point. Yeah, so Daryl sees the mummified corpse and the pile of sand, and he's like, oh my god, God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it. I thought I was out of this show. It's been so long since we've seen Daryl. Although I welcome more Daryl into our lives.
Yes, of course. So we go to credits, and when we come back, Piper is all angry that she has to buy maternity clothes. You know, sometimes I can't even with Piper. She's always like, ugh, I hate how magic has ruined my life, so I can't have a normal life. Now I have to do stupid witch things like buy maternity clothes. It's like, not everything's magic's fault, Piper. Sometimes your body just changes and you need bigger clothes.
To be fair, I don't think she's blaming this on magic. She's mostly really, really pissed that all of the maternity clothes are pink and frilly, because normally she likes action clothes, like black tank tops and tactical pants. I don't think of that as being how Piper normally dresses. I guess she keeps it pretty simple, but I don't think of her as like averse to frills or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, you can just buy a large black t-shirt. I
mean, this is not the problem you're making it out to be. I don't understand why you're having problems finding maternity clothes.
Like, I mean, couldn't you just whatever. Piper is really, really, really pissed because she's an action lady and she's being forced to be domestic, and she hates it so much she just wants to go out and murder something.
Poor Paige is trying to help her out, and she's just getting the brunt of it.
Paige tries to shift the subject over to the fact that Phoebe hasn't had dick in a while and therefore is becoming feral. Which... her last boyfriend died not that long ago. I'm not saying that as a, that might be why Phoebe's reticent about dating, just more,
It could be.
It could be. It's not because it's Phoebe, but it could be. But also, like, who cares if she doesn't want to date for a little bit? She has a very, very busy job as an advice columnist.
Listen, if you're going to start with the who cares if Phoebe doesn't want to date, then I don't even know how we're going to do the rest of this show. Because the answer is everyone. Everyone cares that Phoebe find love. It's the most important thing.
It's literally Cole's last appearance in this show is seasons after they vanquish him for realsies, where it is revealed that he's trapped in this, like, bizarre limbo between life and death because he died with a weird kind of morality. So, as his punishment, he has to roam around the world as a ghost doing good deeds, and the first one was teaching Phoebe how to love again by hooking her up with Drake, who is my favorite character in the show. But
I'm going to bring up Drop Dead Diva again.
Yes.
The premise of Drop Dead Diva is that this person who was like a model / aspiring actress. When she died, she was completely morally neutral. She hadn't done anything good or anything evil. She just hadn't done anything. And so they weren't sure what to do with her. And she hit the return key to return back to Earth. And that's the premise of Drop Dead Diva.
Yes, and it put her in the body of a brain-dead lawyer.
Well, so what it does is, what happens is she went into the body of the very next person who was about to die. Who was a lawyer, yes. So now she has all of the law knowledge of this person, who is fat, but TV fat, so like a size 14. But anyway, I'm being dismissive, but it's a very body positive show in general.
And the law apparently isn't terrible. I only saw a couple episodes, which I did enjoy, but it seemed less bullshit than something like, say, Ed.
So the law is accurate. It's just outlandish hypotheticals all the time, all the way down. It's written by somebody who really does understands the law, and then all of the weird examples that they give you in law school to test the bounds of laws. It's all that, all the way down. But I'm just imagining Cole being in that weird morality spot between good and evil and hitting the return button and then, like, Drop Dead Diva, but Cole instead.
Well, he's already a lawyer, so it'll be easier for him.
That's true. It's true.
Oh, maybe he'll be put into a model's body.
Yes! Well, he's already...
Yeah, he's already Julian McMahon, but... this episode, we should actually talk about this episode. So, Phoebe calls them home because Morris called her...
Morris! Why did you just call him Morris? We never call him Morris.
They keep calling him Morris, which is weird. He's Daryl. He's a friend of yours. Remember, there was the whole Andy thing? But, yes, Lieutenant Daryl Morris, or Inspector. Inspector Morris... He just got promoted.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Daryl has told them that, there's some spooky magic bullshit, so they need to keep an eye out for mummies or whatever.
Right. All these women have died, and they've all been mummified after they've died. Except we know they were mummified moments before they died, so that the spirit of Isis could be transferred from the body of the witch that Isis had burned up into the next witch. But they do know that all of the people who died have been witches.
Yes. Daryl does.
Right.
Daryl mentions it, and they're like, that's probably not even true. Shut up, Daryl. Piper is still mad about the maternity outfit, although she does raise a point that I've heard is valid, I don't know from personal experience, where she's like, where Daryl reaches for her stomach and she slaps his hand away.
That is not okay. Yeah, no, that's a thing.
Yeah, there was a book I read back in the day called The Book of 11, which was like, it was one of those like cutesy theme books where every chapter actually I think there were 22 chapters, but each of them was based off of a list of 11 things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was 11 pictures of complete strangers touching my stomach when she was heavily pregnant.
No, people do. They think that's okay. It's not okay to touch people's pregnant bellies.
Yeah. You can buy shirts telling people not to, although I bet they probably don't work. But yeah, Piper's like, you know what? I'm going to walk into the other room so I don't murder you. I'm just going to go in there and yell and swear and knock stuff over because I'm so mad about the fact that I have to wear pink.
Okay. There are women dying, and Piper's like, I hate this shirt. And Phoebe's just, I don't know what Phoebe's deal is this episode. When they come in, she's giving herself a pedicure, and she's like, I would love to help you fight off evil, but I have to go get a facial. What is happening? Why is Paige the only one who cares?
We're only in season 5.
And Paige isn't just the only... Whatever. Paige is the only one who cares.
So, Piper asks what the deal is with the bug on the chest.
It's a scarab.
Yeah, you should remember, that was the whole thing with the last thing from Egypt you fought. The, like, guardian lady, didn't she? She was like a scarab or something, and then when someone took the vase, she'd like...
Also, you've been through 4th grade.
Yes.
But
you've seen The Blue Beetle, the very good movie you should still see while it's in theaters, even though I think we've passed the point of it being able to make its money back. It was good. It wasn't great. It was good.
But
It's a lot of fun. I'd like to see the guy who plays Blue Beetle in more stuff.
They sent Leo to the elders to ask what a scarab is. The elders are going to laugh in his face.
This is one of those times where I bet Leo is just like, okay, and then he orbs to like some bar somewhere and he's like, you know what? Just gonna give it 30 minutes.
I just need to be away from those sisters for 30 minutes. Meanwhile, Daryl is really annoyed to have to deal with their magical bullshit, and I'm like, Daryl, you called them.
It's true.
He says that after everything that's gone down with, all the magic bullshit, he's up for a promotion now, and if he screws it up, then that's basically it. He's never going to get promoted.
He points out that he's finally started to shake his reputation as the guy who...
Spooky Mulder?
Yeah, the spooky Mulder thing. Like, he's like, I just managed to shake the reputation of being the guy who deals with all the weird shit. Can we just be subtle about this? And Paige is like, so we're going to be police psychics again? And he's like...
Well, just tell them we're psychics. That's totally normal.
Meanwhile, don't be a coroner in Charmed. Or any supernatural show, I guess.
So, I don't know what's up with this guy. He's only got a few lines. But I really liked this coroner. I'm sorry he died. I would have liked him to be a reoccurring character.
Yeah, he gets a few lines off, and then he...
Just something about his energy. I was like, yeah, coroner dude.
He tries to buzzsaw the bandages off, and he gets mega electrocuted.
He points out that it's weird that they appear to be both airtight and hand-woven.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe don't take an electric saw to something that strange, but okay.
So... Thick eyebrows guy, I don't remember the demon's name.
Sure.
But dude has hella eyebrows. It's a good look. There's a reason everyone likes, what's his face from the other two? Bobby... The boyfriend.
Oh, I don't know his real name.
Yeah, that's why I was saying Bobby instead of whatever his name is on the show.
Lance.
Lance, the guy who plays Lance in the other two. Like... how fun is it that he's become a sex symbol?
I mean, has he?
Yeah, the internet's mega thirsty for that dude.
I feel like the internet doesn't have enough appreciation for the other two in general. It really should.
Well, he was in Scream 7
or
whatever,
was he?
The most recent one, and they also gave him an extended shirtless scene.
We should watch that.
Yeah. He was also in Sirens, there's so many shows named Sirens. The
one about EMTs, not the one about mermaids?
Yes, the comedic EMT show. It's like a slightly less problematic Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
You've seen it.
I have.
They had an ace character back in whenever the hell it came out. That's impressive. But he was in that too as that guy. He's either the guy from The New Girl or that guy who looks like the guy from The New Girl. It's Jake Johnson or Nick something. You know the guy from
Yeah, but I don't know any of these names.
Okay. Anyway, his ex-girlfriend who's a cop, or his quasi-ex-girlfriend because they're still kind of dating, but she's a cop and her new partner is played by Lance from the other two, and he's naked a lot in that show, because it makes the main guy uncomfortable.
Got it.
But everyone else is super into it.
All the viewers or all the people on the show?
All the people in the show, but also, presumably the viewers. Although it did only get one season, so who knows. And that guy who plays, what's his face in that Apple TV show, Uploaded, or Uplink? Upload. I'm sorry, Charmed.
I'm sorry, you just sound like such a parent right now. You're like, the guy from the thing.
Well, if you had the names, then this would... Also, I am a dad. I've started unnecessarily adding the word "the" to the title of things after our kid was born. And my sneezes got way louder. It's a thing. I don't know. Charmed.
So they go to the crime scene, and by they, I mean Paige and Phoebe, because Piper is still mad about maternity clothes. And
Why is Phoebe dressed like a sexy Laura Bush?
I don't even understand what's happening with her outfit. It's like a denim sash dress, except the top is like it's blue denim halfway down to her boobs, and then it's white denim. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, I thought that was like... I don't know what I thought that
Did
top
you thought
was.
that was a crop, like a bolero jacket over a white dress?
Kind of, yeah.
No, that is all one piece of material. I don't know what's happening. It's really ugly and really unflattering.
Yes, but they come onto the crime scene, and Phoebe Halliwell's like, out of my way, police psychic, invited here by Daryl Morris, that guy over there, and everyone kind of gives Daryl the stink eye, which...
She tells one of the uniformed cops, your girlfriend's cheating on you, by the way.
So, was that just an assumption on her part, or...
Well, she says it as though it's a psychic
thing,
but we know that Phoebe didn't get any premonition about that. She's just being a bitch.
Yeah. Although, not to continually harp on it, but in season 1, that was the sort of thing she could, see with her powers.
Yep, not anymore.
Not anymore. Now she's just being an asshole.
Yeah.
So, they come into the room, and Phoebe's just grabbing stuff all willy-nilly. To be fair, that is how her power works.
Daryl tells them forensics is done. You can touch anything you want.
Yeah.
So, they're not completely contaminating a crime scene.
And Paige decides that this is a great opportunity to be like, so, you gonna start fucking Cole again? And Phoebe's like, I'm trying to touch stuff at a crime scene.
Okay, Paige just wants her to fuck anyone. She's like, hey, that cop that you just told him his girlfriend's cheating on him, he's pretty hot.
Yeah, what? Well, I mean, her thing with asking about whether or not she's gonna fuck Cole is basically... She's basically doing the, to get over someone, you have to get under someone else, which she did. That guy who died, who was played by Ken Marino.
Yeah. All right, so they find the scrying crystal that Isis was using to find the next powerful witch, and Paige is like, well, we better grab it so that we can do magic on it, and Phoebe's like, it's evidence, and Paige is like, who are you even? And steals the evidence.
Yeah, and then Daryl comes into the room and he's like, you guys got anything? And they're like, no, we have to leave. Why don't you just tell him? You think he's gonna give a shit that you're stealing stuff from a crime scene? He invited you here.
What was he expecting?
Yes, exactly.
Back at the manor, Piper is looking at how huge she is now, and Leo shows up behind her to be like, hey, I think you're beautiful. It's weird because part of this story I'm just so not into. The part where she's like, I feel so fat and ugly. But then the part of it where she's like, oh, I hate how everyone's treating me like I'm super breakable, even though I'm literally invulnerable because of this child now. Like, one of those things I'm really annoyed at. One of those things I really relate to.
It's odd that part of her thing with, like, she doesn't like being perceived as pregnant because she feels like it makes people not see her as tough anymore. Like, again, she talks about wanting to wear, like, all leather outfits because... And the thing is, Piper is aggressively the heavy of the charmed ones.
Yeah.
Like, she forever has had the best defensive power and, as of recent, has the best offensive power. Plus, she's now a literal tank because of the whole invincibility thing. It's weird that she's... I mean, I guess it has always been a thing with Piper that she is worried about how she's perceived.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a weird thing where she is the strongest character on the show, but she also is very sensitive to the opinions of others.
I mean, that makes sense. I feel like she's the person who has a foot most firmly in the mortal world. Like, in the normal world. In the world of normalcy. Not whatever it is Phoebe's doing. And she's the one who most wants that. So it makes sense that wanting that, she would care what other people think. She's the one who's most susceptible to be, like, mommy shamed.
Well, it's just weird that manifests as her not wanting to be seen as vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to, like, wanting to be the pregnant wife thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which will literally be a thing that happens to her much, much later in the show. In the Billy and Christy thing, when they make all of the charmed ones like their idealized selves or whatever, and Piper becomes a 50s housewife because I guess they still had the like the black and white makeup or whatever from the Phoebe.
I was gonna say that because they forgot they did that with Phoebe. The opposite of yours. One or the other.
Although, who knows? That's probably a fetish thing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I didn't talk about it as much in the beginning of this episode as I did the shrinking women and turning them into clay statues thing, but I'm pretty sure mummification's also a fetish thing. Like, I'm not sure if I want to count this as one of Charm's fetishy episodes, but...
No, I don't think it... Well, I mean, everything's a fetish.
Yes.
But...
I'm like, there are definitely compilations on YouTube of hot women being wrapped in bandages or whatever.
But I don't think this is, like, exposing a writer's kink the way that the shrinking episode was. This is just exposing a writer's use of cliches writing a mummy story.
So, Mr. Eyebrows Man pops up next to Phoebe while she's going to her car, and he's like, "Nice body. Mind if I borrow it for a while?"
By now, by the way, the sisters have checked the Book of Shadows, and they now have been completely filled in on the plot of what's going on.
Still expect that to be explained to them multiple times, because for some reason, Charmed really does not trust its audience with this sort of thing.
Yeah, they really think that we're going to be confused once people start getting possessed, which is bizarre.
Yeah. Phoebe puts up I was going to say good fight. No, she doesn't. Mr. Eyebrows Man grabs her and everyone shows up just as he's teleporting off with her. I guess it's good because they know that,
she's been grabbed.
Yes. But
he sand teleports away again, which of course leaves a bunch of sand behind. And I'm like, how much sand can he leave behind before he just doesn't exist anymore? Or is that just like a byproduct of the teleportation, like exhaust from your car?
Yeah, I think it's that.
Okay.
Well, I think it's like I guess it doesn't exactly work, the brimstone smoke thing that happens when Nightcrawler teleports.
Okay.
Like, I feel like he's maybe opening a sand portal or something, and... Anyway... Leo can't sense Phoebe because she's been mummified. Speaking of the shrinking episode, if anything happens to Phoebe, Leo can't sense her because of X.
So Paige can't scry for her.
Which is weird.
No, well, it's not. We'll find out why she can't.
Oh, yeah, there's like a blocking thing or something, right?
No, she can't scry for her because she's scrying on a map of San Francisco, and she's been teleported out of San Francisco.
Right. You think that would come up more.
Yeah, no, nobody leaves San Francisco, apparently. It's like, in Charmed, San Francisco's like Storybrooke, where no one can leave.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, Daryl calls to tell them that the coroner's been killed and the mummy has disappeared, so things have gone from bad to worse.
Just seriously, don't work as a coroner. Not worth it. Though, you probably have a kind of... It probably helps you deal with issues around mortality, right? If you're just around that all the time.
I mean, I guess you have to have a different kind of relationship with death than other people do.
So...
Daryl is freaking out because obviously he's not just not going to get a promotion, he's going to flat out lose his job at this point. And Piper flat out says, she's like, look, we need to be more concerned with Phoebe than with Daryl right now.
And Leo's like,
fuck Daryl. Leo's not like that, Piper's like that.
Yes.
Everyone else is horrified.
Yes. Leo's like, I want to help Daryl, but I don't want to break the rules. And Paige is like, really, Leo? At this point in the show? Who cares? Who cares about the rules? Go help Daryl. And Leo's like, but Phoebe, and she's like,
we'll get her back.
Yeah, she's a front-credited character. Like, Daryl is lucky to show up at all.
Also, Cole's still around. Her super powerful ex-boyfriend who will move heaven and hell to save her.
Oh my god, that's a great idea. Let's go see Cole. Let's go running to Cole anytime anything happens to Phoebe this season.
You almost can't blame him for thinking she's gonna come back to him. Like, she's the one who's not severing the tie. Her whole family's keeping him on the hook.
Yeah, like, he tried to leave town and they wouldn't let him.
He tried to die last episode, and he tried to get them to vanquish him. And they're like, no, we're not gonna vanquish you like this. We're gonna vanquish you on our terms.
We're not going to kill you because you want us to kill you.
You almost feel bad for him.
I mean, I do feel bad for him.
I mean, he is the source of all evil. I mean, I know he's not the source anymore, but he still is like...
He's Mega Satan.
Yeah, he's super evil right now.
Yeah. Although he's killing less people than most demons, or occasionally the charmed ones.
Yeah, but he got all of his powers from super hell, making him super evil.
Yeah, point. That is how that works. So, they're gonna go to Cole to see if he can help them out, which...
Okay.
Please leave Cole alone. He's got enough to deal with.
Meanwhile, in Egypt, Isis has taken over Phoebe's body.
Get ready for this to be uncomfortable.
Actually, I feel like this is the opposite of uncomfortable. It's weirdly consent-based.
Oh, yeah, because he has this whole thing. Because Isis wakes up in Phoebe's body and she's like, ooh, this body's so alive. It's so sexy and sexual and sextastic.
This body's so horny. Oh, my God.
Yeah, this body's mega horny and it's super hot. Look at my abs. Look at my arms. Look at my boobs. Oh, my God, I'm so fucking hot. This is... Who wrote this? And... Like, this is a lot. But Mr. Eyebrows Man is good on consent. He's like, is the witch's soul still in there? And she's like, kind of. And he's like, look, as soon as the witch's soul dies, I will be more than happy to pork you.
When it is your body that you can consent to have sex with, then we can have sex. But not until you have murdered the person whose body it used to be. Otherwise, it's just wrong.
Yeah. Weirdly good morality, I guess.
Weirdly good on consent issues.
Yes. Good on consent, bad on literally everything else. So, Piper and Paige go to Cole's apartment, and he's throwing fireballs at himself in a mirror, and they're just, like, bouncing off him, and he summons a big cartoonish guillotine. He's like, I wonder how I'm gonna survive getting my head cut off. Wah, 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 wah. And Piper's like, can we go? Like, he's not going to be helpful. Can we go?
Piper tells him he needs to get therapy. And it's like, no, Piper, he just needs to get away from you three.
Yeah, like, Paige makes a comment about him being crazy now. She's like, he's cuckoo bananas. How is he going to help? And they tell him about the Phoebe situation. He's like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. I'm familiar with him. I know all demons ever. Yeah, him.
How racist of them to assume that all demons know each other.
But he points out, he's like, yeah, what's his bucket? Mr. Eyebrows Man was some big wig demon who fell in love with this evil witch who totally ruined his life. Can't relate to that.
But he does get angry because he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He's putting his lost love in the body of my lost love. Then what will I be all melancholy about?
Yeah, like, okay, so Jarek is Mr. Eyebrows Man. Jarek was turned into a mummy by some good witches or whatever, and then an evil witch revived him, but then she got killed, so he got her scarabed and body swapping, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's Charmed. We have to hear this 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, we already read it out of the Book of Shadows, and now Cole is telling them the story. And then Cole is like, you know what? I can probably make a deal with him. So he's like, thanks for telling me. Off to make things worse. Except not really. He doesn't really make things worse, but
yeah, it's at best a lateral move.
Yeah.
So Jarek won't have sex with Isis and Phoebe's body, but having her do a sexy mummy dance, that's super cool.
Well, I get the impression that this was her idea, not his. She's not, like, doing it for him.
Yeah, although he is sitting in a throne and drinking alcohol from a glass with no stem.
He's actually eating grapes, but he's eating them in such a way that you imagine he's fermenting them in his mouth as you chews.
Yeah. So she's like, it reminds me way too much of Phoebe from Friends' seduction dance when she's trying to seduce Chandler.
It does kind of look like that. Wow. Honestly, though, she's not doing this at his request. In fact, he's kind of annoyed about it. He's like, you're supposed to be working on the spell that's going to lock you into this body permanently so that you stop burning up bodies. And much like Drop Dead Diva, she has Phoebe's magical knowledge.
Yes.
So she's able to write a powerful spell because that used to be Phoebe's thing, that she could write spells. Although she does point out the rhyme scheme is bad.
Yeah. Meta. Charmed is starting to lean in on that fourth wall a little bit. Speaking of leaning in on fourth walls, Cole drunkenly Kool-Aid mans his way through the wall of the tomb that they're in.
He's like, hey, that's my lost witch.
And Jarek, like, shoots a stream of, like, flesh-eating beetles at Cole, and they just kind of bounce off, and Cole's like, we done?
Cole drunkenly swipes them aside.
He's like, yo, Jarek, I want to know, I'm a huge fan of that thing that you do where you wrap women up in bandages and try to, like, marry them. Look, I feel like we can reach a thing because that's my wife whose body you have, and I would hate to super murder you both, so, like, if you can do me a favor, what do you think about redheads? Elbow.
Also, he wants Jarek to mummify her so that he can, like, put her in stasis until he figures out how to win her back. That's a terrible idea. Although Isis in Phoebe's body does mention that the body is, like, super attracted to Cole.
Yeah.
Oh. I have to say, Cole telling Jarek that he used to be the source of all evil has, like, big peaked in high school energy.
Yeah. I used to be the source, man. They let me skip trig.
So this is where we find out that the more powerful the witch is, the quicker Isis burns her out. So she's gonna lose Phoebe's body immediately unless she casts the spell. And the spell is gonna require the power of 3. Which I guess makes sense because if she used Phoebe's knowledge to write the spell and Phoebe's like, power of 3, like that's Phoebe's go-to.
I guess I feel like this shouldn't be a power of 3 thing. I mean,
no, those are vanquishing spells. You're right. It's not offensively nonsensical, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
The resolution of this episode is really weird.
Yeah.
Like, again, there's a ton of fun stuff in this episode, including this bit. But the plot is really dumb. Just enjoy the fun stuff that happens. Like, Leo trying to help Daryl out by glamoring himself to look like Jarek, so that Daryl can arrest him and get credit for it. Because the police did see Jarek run into the apartment building with Isis's old body and then apparently mummify her in seconds while they were breaking down the door.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
The important thing is Derek's like, I'm not going to do that. That's what? But Leo's like, punch to the face. And then Daryl instinctively handcuffs him just as all of the other cops are coming. And Leo's like, see, look, now you're going to get... Why would Daryl get fired for the coroner being murdered and the body being stolen?
He was being blamed for not catching the guy.
I guess. I feel like that kind of overlooks how
reality?
Yeah, like, the police don't really catch people.
Oh, let's not get into that. So, back at the manor, they're still trying to scry. They can't figure out why it's not working. And then the crystal gets annoyed with this.
No. What happens is Piper's like, my baby's omnipotent, right? What if I draw upon the power of my omnipotent baby to, like, juice up the scrying? And Paige is like, is that a thing you can do? And Piper's like, sure, why not? And then the crystal voips onto a nearby globe.
It's convenient they have that globe hanging around.
Yeah.
It, like, presses itself into the globe.
Shouldn't they start with the globe? This feels like you start with the globe and then you go for more and more local maps.
Yeah. Or like you have a giant world atlas that you flip through.
Yeah.
Or Grams can just turn it to the right page like she does with the Book of Shadows.
Or later in the show, Billy does this weird GPS scrying thing, which is...
That's... I like that, even though it's definitely going to be my time freeze when we get there.
Yes. I'm weirdly excited for Billy. I don't know. Like, I know we're past the good seasons of Charmed, but this is the stuff I like about the show.
Oh yeah, these are the fun seasons of Charmed. There's like the good seasons and then the fun seasons.
Also the Avatar stuff.
There's the good seasons, the fun seasons, and the stuff with the avatars.
They're neutral.
Oh. Yeah.
They're neither good nor entertainingly bad.
Anyway, Paige and Piper are gonna orb over to where Phoebe is.
Egypt.
Yeah.
Specifically this one tomb set.
Yes.
Which is still better than the last episode where the Urn Guardian was in like the ancient Egypt we saw was basically someone's living room that just had a lot of ferns in it.
Yes.
So Paige and Piper teleport into the tomb, and Cole's like, "Hey, Piper, portal back home." It's interesting that he offers up Paige instead of Piper, I guess, out of loyalty, or I guess he needed Piper to be the one for the... I mean, his plan doesn't really make any sense, but... Okay, so I was going to be like... You know, it's offensive that Cole just assumed that Paige would be the one that the guy would want and not Piper, but I guess Piper is, you know...
Impregnable?
With child, and you don't want to... I mean, I know he's evil, but also... There's a bunch of reasons why you wouldn't pick Piper for this. It's not necessarily because he thinks Paige is the sexier option.
Also, she's married, and that means something.
He doesn't want to break bro code.
That's funny. No, because I meant, like, there is some sort of magical component. Like, the elders weren't allowed to interfere once they were married in the eyes of God or whatever. It's probably, like, anathema to a demon to separate people that have been joined by God. Let demon not put asunder.
I was going to say, does Cole knows that Piper's pregnant, but he doesn't know about the invulnerability thing, does he?
Well, he does by the time this episode's over.
Yes. I do like that that's how he gets her out of the situation, though. Again, I know, but, like, when you were dealing with Glory...
Oh, right.
If you were dealing with a tank, the best way to deal with it is just to make them be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. He creates a portal underneath Piper's feet to blast her back to the Halliwell Manor. And he has some sort of magical shielding that keeps Paige from being able to orb away.
Yeah, like, Paige tries to orb away, and he does that thing where she just turns into a little ball of light and bounces off the walls. Barbas did it, too. Well, back when he had Cole's powers. But, yeah. Just weird, I wouldn't think that's... I don't think of orbing as Paige turns into a little Tinkerbell and flies off. I think of it as teleportation, but...
Yeah. But yeah, apparently her little fireflies can be contained.
So... Phoebe's body is dying, so he...
Jarek is, like, comforting her and, like, being like, hang on, sweetie, we're almost done with the spell that lets you take over this body permanently. And Cole's like, hey, that's my witch? Do not make out tenderly with that witch.
So he lays Phoebe on the table, and her naked, heaving body is wrapped up in tight silk bandages.
Yeah, but we don't see her anymore. Like, it's not like a superhero comic where it's nudity with lines drawn over it.
I mean, that fake model thing they have for the post-mummy thing, that is a pretty tight thing. Like, I'm sure it's a mannequin or whatever, but...
I mean, my point is that I think Alyssa Milano was like, I don't have to be on set today, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a mannequin. The head is very, very round.
And Jarek moves the spirit of Isis over to Paige's body, and weirdly starts making out with her right away.
Yeah.
Don't know why that's okay. Unless Paige also wanted to make out with Jarek. Paige was like, man, this guy's hot. I've been trying to get my sister laid all week, when really the person I should be trying to get laid was me the whole time.
So, Piper's back at the manor, and Jarek pops in an orange jumpsuit. Piper instinctively blows him up, and he reforms and turns into Leo, and he's like, hey! Right, I forgot, sorry. Face of a demon, my bad. Also, very... I mean, I guess it's been established before, but it is kind of weird that Leo can just glamour himself and barely ever uses it.
Yeah, I feel like he should be using that power all the time. Anyway, Piper asks him not why were you just looking like a demon, but instead asks why are you wearing a prison jumpsuit, and he's like, 'cause I was in prison?
I'm helping out Daryl, and she's like, I don't care about Daryl. I'm down 2 sisters now, and that's twice as bad as where I was before.
She tells Leo that he needs to orb her back to Egypt immediately, but actually first he has to change his clothes and then orb her back.
Because orange isn't his color.
What a weird thing to be concerned about, that he take off his prison jumpsuit before orbing them to Egypt. Like, that's not your priority, Piper.
Well, Piper's like, isn't it weird that he sent me right back home instead of, like...
Into the middle of a volcano?
Yeah, and he must be up to something. And Leo's like, whatever it is, it's probably, like...
He probably is just trying to win Phoebe back like he has been for the last 10 episodes this season.
So Piper has changed out of her weak maternity clothes and into a black t-shirt.
Hey, that's what you suggested originally, that she just get a slightly larger black t-shirt.
Well, now we know she means business. Back in Egypt, Jarek is massaging Paige/Isis, and he's like, you carry so much tension. And she's like, it's not my body, dude. Like, Paige carries a lot of tension.
She says this witch works so hard, and she doesn't deserve this sexy body because she's out there, like, trying to do things when she could just be out there being hot. And I'm like...
Thanks, Jigsaw.
I was more thinking, like, how did you become a powerful witch, Isis?
Clearly, this is a nepotism thing.
Oh, I was going to say, is your power shaming women? Like, let them live their lives.
Oh, maybe that is her power source.
Oh, maybe. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, right? Because that's what she does. She jumps from woman to woman and literally drains them, like...
Yeah. Just, it became more and more literal over time.
Well, you know, the magical metaphor.
Mm. So Jarek's like, okay, we're done making out now. Now I feel weird about it again, so...
Well, he's like, now go write the spell.
Yeah. And he goes over to Cole and he's like, how are you going to get the power of 3 if one of them's, you know, in a mummy body? And Cole's like, they just need to be in the same room. They don't all need to be saying it at the same time. Because...
He's right. They only have to be touching each other. They've done it when sisters were unconscious. They did it when Phoebe was a fetus. But Jarek is less hopeful that Piper will willingly come to a power of 3 spell. And Cole's like, no, I've got a plan. I'll just hit her with a terrible choice, and then she will do what we want her to do instead of trying to vanquish one or both of us. Like, I feel like Cole's never dealt with the sisters before.
I don't know. I feel like Cole's entirely on the money because his whole plan basically... you know what? We can talk about it right now. Because he is yoinked out of the tomb by Piper, who has cast a summoning spell on him. And she's like, so where are my sisters, asshole? And he's like, okay, here's the situation. One of your sisters is being possessed by Isis, and the body will slowly sicken and die. The other one is trapped in a mummy thing. Now, your options are come back with me, use the power of 3 spell that Isis and Paige's body came up with to kill Paige, but permanently put Isis in her body. And then Isis will bring Phoebe back Or you can do nothing, Paige will die, and Phoebe will live forever trapped in a mummy. I don't know, it's weird. He presents it as one of your sisters will have to die, which I guess is technically the thing, but it's really she'll lose both of them if she doesn't do the thing that Cole wants her to do.
Well, I think she will. I mean, because she'll lose Paige to Isis anyway, but also they'll stop preserving Phoebe's bot. Yeah.
It's weird that he doesn't present it like that. He's like, look, you can either save Paige or Phoebe. And I'm pretty confident that you're going to save Phoebe because you met Paige like yesterday and you clearly don't like her that much.
But this is what I'm saying. His assumption is that he has the power right now, and it's never gone well for him when he assumes he has the power.
I mean, I feel like his biggest flaw with this plan is that it's deeply stupid.
Yeah.
But also, this is a really weird situation because, like, Isis was just some random ass nobody witch. Like, he just assumes that a generic power of 3 spell wouldn't bring Phoebe out of her mummification because he's like, Isis is the only one who knows the demummification spell. So you need her alive in order to save Phoebe.
Yeah, they could definitely... Well, they wouldn't be able to figure it out because Phoebe's the one who could figure it out, and if not Phoebe, then Paige, and Paige is Isis now, so...
I don't know, I feel like we're firmly in the era of anyone can say anything and it'll do whatever. I mean, I guess that, like, goodbye demon lock, magic barrier, unblock spell Phoebe tried didn't work that one time, but we've seen some very poorly written spells succeed.
I guess that's fair. By the way, they don't have this discussion before they have an invulnerability fight.
Well, they have it during an invulnerability fight. Like...
Because Cole can't be killed, and neither can Piper, so they just throw energy at each other and blow up everything else in the attic.
Yeah, Piper is blowing Cole up, and he's being flung around the room, and he's, like, throwing all sorts of crazy energy. And Piper's, like, whipping potions. They're stabbing each other with swords. It's fantastic. I love it so much. They're just going to town on each other. And Leo comes in, he's like, you're both invincible. What are you doing?
This is the episode where everyone is exhausted with the sisters. Leo is exhausted. Daryl is exhausted. Cole's having a full-on meltdown about it.
Yeah. So Cole reestablishes the stakes, explains the situation, and then he's like, I'm going back to the tomb. You can follow me. Like, this is the situation. You're going to have to kill one of your sisters, and I'm just banking on you wanting to save Phoebe.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
I mean, it's weird, though, because you're right. He does set it up as a choice. You can only save one sister, but you're right. I just accepted that, but you're right.
It's either save one or save neither.
Yeah, there's no scenario that Cole presents where Paige comes out of this. Maybe this one could have used another pass.
Yeah. Whatever. The invincibility fight got them so much leeway in my
That's why I didn't notice that the plan made no sense. They were blowing stuff up on the set. So they go down to the tomb. You know, Piper's like, hey, I'm here. It's me, Piper. I'm going to take your deal. And the sister that I'm going to save is Paige. Haha, sucker. And she casts a spell that drives Isis out of her body and destroys Isis's soul. And Cole's like, well, that wasn't one of the options I gave you. And then Paige, just since she was psychically connected with Isis, she remembers the demummification spell. So she demummifies Phoebe, and then they blow up Jarek, and they're like, Phoebe turns to Cole, and she's like, what happened to you, Cole? I'm like, you, Phoebe! You happened to him!
Like...
Yeah, the plan was really bad. They didn't even come up with a clever way around it. They were just like, yeah, Cole, that doesn't work, and did it.
I mean, I do kind of appreciate them being like, we don't have to take him at face value. He's the villain. He can just say whatever he wants. It's not to give Rick and Morty any credit, but remember way in the early seasons when they're hiding from the, like, budget Freddy Krueger? Where he's like, you can run, but you can't hide, and then they end up escaping from him by hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would he give us good advice? He was trying to kill us. Did we learn any lessons there?
That's funny that you jumped to did we learn any lessons, because I was going to ask, better or worse than Inca Mummy Girl?
Okay, I'm going to say better.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because Inca Mummy Girl, like, let's be clear, the thing that they're biting the steelio of is clearly the mummy. And to a lesser degree, I guess, the original Mummy movies, because I didn't see them, but I'm given to understand that the 90s version was a remake of the premise of the original, you know. Old, powerful mummy dude wants to put his bride into some hot, alive lady who's half Egyptian, but always played by a white lady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, this is loosely that.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a pretty basic story, and you know what? I enjoyed it. I had fun. Also, I mentioned they killed Jarek, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was such a non-thing. I think Piper just blew him up. Like,
it really was a non-thing, especially after Cole was like, "Oh man, I love that guy. He's real good at what he does." What he does is not withstand Piper's exploding power, I guess. Oh, yeah, I think it was better than Inca Mummy Girl.
like, again, the plot is bad. This is a bad plot, but like the acting's fun. It's like fun, hokey. The invincibility fight, Leo's weird thing where I don't see how Daryl's, I mean, I guess it's out of Daryl's hands once the guy's in prison, so he can't be blamed for Jarek escaping.
That's basically what I think they say happens. Yeah, no, this is like a pulp serial. It doesn't really make sense, but there are mummies and fights and things exploding and distracting you from the fact that the plot doesn't really make so much sense.
Yeah. There's a little sexy dance from Alyssa Milano for those of you. I mean, I'm sorry. It was really way too not well choreographed for me to find it. Not to be a snob, but it wasn't really well choreographed enough for me to find it erotic. It just reminded me of Phoebe from Friends' sexy dance.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
She was doing the... It's great radio. It's great radio right now.
Oh...
But I feel like if you saw that scene from Friends, you knew what I was doing, though. But
let's do our segments.
Yes, much like the Charmed ones, we have our own power of three. The first power in our pack is Premonition. Who in this episode was, or will become famous? Was Mr. Eyebrow Man somebody? Jarek?
No, he's played a bunch of demons in this and Buffy, as most demon actors do. But no, he's not. He's not anybody.
But you did have something for this.
Yeah, it's a weird one, though. It's super weird. It's a super weird one. And also, this is another person who I would normally say she's not anyone, except that one of her very few other credits is so weird, I wanted to bring it up. So it's not really a premonition in the sense of premonitions. It's more like the premonition where Phoebe's like, hey, your girlfriend's cheating on you, even though we know that didn't happen. So it's thematically appropriate. Anyway, when Piper's in the maternity store and she's like buying the terrible pink shirt, there's a sales lady. The sales lady is played by Amy Leland, who is also the voice of Cerebro in the X-Men movies.
Wow.
I know, super random, right? And not like...
Yeah, wow. Huh. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
I bet you could live off of convention appearances from that.
I don't know.
It's one of those things where, like, if you're a really, really low rent con, this is the sort of person you could get.
Yeah, but I don't think that you as the actor could make a living off that.
Really? Where do you think that floor starts? Because I know people who played, like, 2-episode characters in Star Trek managed to live off of convention appearances.
Yeah, but usually, even though it's only 2 episodes, it's, like, iconic. I would say Eddie Munster is the floor.
Oh, come on. He had a he was a main character on a, like, I'd say the woman who played Tasha Yar would be the floor.
Wait, you're putting Denise, you're putting Denise Crosby below Eddie Munster?
Yeah. I feel like way more people know who Eddie Munster is than Tasha Yar.
Wow. Listeners, tweet at us and tell Max how wrong he is.
Eddie Munster was on The Simpsons.
Tasha Yar is Tasha Yar.
Yeah, that lady who was in, like, what, half a season of Star Trek before she got stepped on by
And then she comes back as her own alternative universe Romulan daughter. And Data's always like, oh, my first love who died.
Yeah, the woman who had sex with him when they were under the influence of space spores or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very weird that those worked on Data. Or was he just like, okay, let's go with this?
I think that's what it was. All right. You didn't have any premonitions?
I did not, no. All right, so that will take us to the second power in our pack, Time Freeze. What specifically dated this episode? I didn't have anything for this either, but apparently you did.
Okay, so after Cole tells Piper that she has to choose which sister lives and which sister dies, even though, as we established, that's not actually the choice before her. Anyway, the camera pans to a picture of the three of them hanging out together. And I thought, why do you have a picture of the three of you hanging out together? You haven't been around that much. It's been less than 2 seasons that you've known each other. It would make sense if this was, like, on your Facebook wall, but you took a picture with a film camera and got the picture and put it in a frame in your house.
Yeah, that is a something you would do at that time.
Yeah, and now you might take a picture off your phone and, like, go get it printed and put it in a frame, but, like, there's a whole extra step there that there didn't used to be. And
there are apparently enough pictures of them so that this one is in the attic.
Yeah. Maybe it just got blasted to the attic during the fight.
Maybe she just keeps a ton of them for when stuff gets blasted in the main house, so you can just go up to the attic, grab a new picture, and slap it on the wall.
Well, I had to give you a picture for the camera to pan to in case I go missing, so maybe they just know that they're in the kind of world where the camera's going to have to do a lot of panning to your missing sister pictures, so they keep the pictures around.
Yeah. I mean, when I left my old job very, very unexpectedly, I left that picture on my desk, so now that I'm not there anymore, they could pan to that, and I'm also in that picture.
Wow. Yeah, they pan to the empty desk with the... Wow, that's perfect.
Yeah.
They probably have done that in your office. They've probably been like, hey, what happened to Max? And the camera has probably panned to your empty desk.
Also, my mini figurine of... or what are they called? My Hero Click of Matter Eater Lad, which I got to zhuzh up my office area a little bit, and now it's become part of the... There was actually a collection of toys that were on the embankments or whatever between our cubicle troughs, because we didn't have full cubicles. We had like the line of, but there were action figures from people who had them on their desks but didn't work there anymore. So I guess my Matter Eater Lad's probably up there now.
Yeah.
I should just buy another one. They're like $2, but we also have a very small child at home, so it's probably not good to have Hero Clicks just sitting around. Like, she's old enough to not, but...
And also she's old enough now that she's getting interested in figurines. She got all your old Pokemon figurines.
She loves playing, like, she likes playing with them. The thing is, like, she calls them by what animal they're supposed to be. Like, if she's with the, if she's playing with the Jolteon, she'll be like, cat, Ekans, snake, Arbok, snake. This is useful information for me to have in my brain, by the way, but she was playing with the Slowpoke, and she turns to me, and I'm like, oh, God, I have no idea what this is supposed to be.
You could have just told her Slowpoke.
Yeah, I mean, that is what it is, but, like, is it a seal? Is it... Yeah.
She was trying to figure out the word for the Eevee, too, and I just gave her Fox.
Yeah, Fox is probably best for that. All right, that'll bring us to the third powder pack. Telekinesis. What, if anything, genuinely moved you this episode?
I don't have a telekinesis, but I have a levitation.
Yeah, what made you go, fuck yeah, and rise in the air? We need a better description for it, but, you know, it's a shitty power in the show, so maybe it just deserves a shitty descriptor.
Yeah, the immortality, invulnerability.
Yeah, the invincibility fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's an awesome scene. It's just two people attempting to murder each other with godlike powers in an attic.
It was such a good scene that I failed to notice how terrible Cole's ultimatum was.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's okay. We're going to get a break from Cole and Phoebe for a while now.
We are?
No!
Oh, God. Okay. I was like, he doesn't have that much longer in the show.
I can't tell you it.
Do you want me to read?
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm laughing too much to tell you what the next episode is.
Okay. So the next episode is... Oh, God. It's the importance of being Phoebe. God. Cole kidnaps Phoebe and sends a shapeshifter in her place to manipulate Paige and Piper. Oof. Although, hey, we only have one more episode. This is the second to last episode with Cole, because the episode after that is the one where Cole gets the big vanquish.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do... Like, this episode was a lot of fun, but I am glad Cole is on his way out. They very clearly do not know what to do with this man.
Yeah, it would have gotten much, much worse as it went on.
So let's be glad that he's bowing out at the height of his game.
Yeah. Better to vanquish out than to fade away, right?
Yes.
I think that does it for this week.
I think that will do it for this week, yes.
Our show is partially listener supported. If you want to be one of the supporters, head over to our website, www.welcometotelevision.net, and click on our Patreon link. We'd like to thank our current $5 and above patrons, Beryl, Patricia, Rosa, Ryan, Maricruz, Benjamin, Kate, Jen, Dan, and Anthony.
If you'd like to support the show in other ways, you could always rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find the show.
If you want to talk about this episode, or any episode of any television show, you can tweet at us at ILoveTVZines, or you can email us at ilovetelevisionzines@gmail.com.
So until next time, I'm Max.
And I'm Tina.
And this has been Welcome to the Halliwell Manor.